The stars stretched wide like a silver sea as Marin's small ship broke through the clouds of the strange planet. He had been alone for many months, traveling far beyond the borders known to humans. His mission was simple. He was to find new worlds, new resources, and perhaps even new friends for humanity. But the moment he saw the glowing rivers and endless forests below, he felt something stir in his heart. This was not just another stop. This place felt alive in a way no other world had. He landed in a clearing where the grass shone faint blue under the light of two suns. The air was thick but breathable. Giant trees rose like towers, their leaves glowing faint green, and vines hung like curtains between them. Marin stepped out, helmet in hand, and breathed in the scent of the forest. It smelled of rain and something sweet, like fruit he had never tasted before. For hours he moved through the wild land, marking his path and collecting samples. Strange birds flew overhead, their wings humming like music. Small creatures with crystal-like skin watched him from branches, curious but not hostile. Everything around him seemed peaceful. Yet he felt as if unseen eyes were on him, following his every move. His first night was restless. He built a small fire near the landing site, but the forest never grew silent. Sounds of beasts echoed from far away, and the glowing rivers pulsed as if the water itself carried a heartbeat. Just as he was about to sleep, a sharp growl came from the darkness. Marin grabbed his tool weapon and stood ready. From the shadows stepped a beast unlike any he had seen. Its body was large and covered in rough scales, and its eyes burned yellow. It moved low to the ground, circling him. Marin aimed his weapon, but before he could fire, the creature leaped. Suddenly a flash of silver cut through the night. A tall figure jumped between him and the beast. With one swift strike, the figure drove the creature back. The beast hissed, wounded, and then disappeared into the thick forest. Marin lowered his weapon, staring at his unexpected savior. The figure turned toward him. It was no beast, but a person. Her skin carried a faint glow under the moonlight, her silver eyes sharp yet calm. Her long dark hair floated around her as if it had a life of its own. She wore simple armor made from the forest's crystal-like vines. "You should not be here," she said in a low voice. Her words were strange but clear, as though shaped by his own language. Marin felt his throat tighten. "Who are you?" he asked. She looked at him with a still face. "Sarah," she answered, then stepped back as if to keep distance. "You are not safe." Before Marin could ask more, his knees grew weak. His heart pounded, and his skin felt hot. The closer she stood, the heavier his body felt, as though the air itself carried weight. He stumbled, nearly falling. Sarah's eyes widened. She turned away quickly, almost as if to shield him from something. "Stay back," she warned. Her voice carried both command and sorrow. Marin steadied himself, forcing air into his lungs. What was that?" he asked. She shook her head. "My presence is not for your kind. I saved you from the beast, but I cannot save you from me." With those words, she moved toward the forest edge. Marin reached out as if to stop her, but his arm felt heavy. She disappeared into the trees, her silver eyes fading into the dark. Alone again, Marin sank to the ground. His chest still burned, and his hands shook, but he was alive. The fire crackled behind him, yet his thoughts stayed on her. She was dangerous, that much was clear. But she had saved his life. As the twin moons crossed the sky, Marin lay awake. Who was she? Why did her very presence weaken him, yet draw him close at the same time? The forest held many mysteries, but now he knew the greatest mystery wore silver eyes and carried a name he would not forget. Her name was Sara. Morning came slowly on the strange planet. The two suns rose together, painting the forest in shades of gold and green. Marin sat near the fire he had built, his body still aching from the strange weakness he felt when Sara had stood near him. He had fought storms, hunger, and silence during his long travels, but nothing had unsettled him like the silver-eyed woman who vanished into the trees. He could not leave without knowing more. So he followed the glowing rivers deeper into the land. Hours passed as he walked under tall branches and through soft blue grass. The forest was alive with voices of creatures, yet Marin felt another kind of silence around him, as if unseen beings were watching and deciding if he belonged. At last, he came to a village hidden among the roots of giant trees. Homes were built inside the wood, their walls glowing faintly with crystal veins. People stood still when they saw him. They were tall like Sara, their skin glowing faintly in the light, their eyes bright like stars. None spoke at first. They only watched him with wary expressions. An elder stepped forward. His hair was white, his face lined like carved stone. He studied Marin carefully before speaking. "You are human. Few of your kind have reached this world." Marin bowed his head, trying to show respect. "I come in peace. I seek to learn." The elder's eyes narrowed. "Then learn this. The one you met is cursed. Stay away from her, or her touch will be your death." Marin felt his heart jump. "You mean Sara?" Murmurs rose among the people at the mention of her name. Some shook their heads, others stepped back. The elder raised his hand, and the noise fell silent. "Her name is not to be spoken here. She carries poison in her spirit. It seeps through her skin and burns through the heart of anyone who grows close. That is why she lives apart. That is why you must not seek her." Marin remembered how his knees had weakened when she stood near him. The burning in his chest had felt like fire spreading through his blood. He understood the warning, yet something inside him refused to turn away. "She saved my life," he said firmly. The elder's face grew hard. "She should not have. You will only suffer if you stay near her. Many of our own have fallen to her touch. That is why she is called the Cursed One." Despite the elder's words, Marin felt no fear. He only felt curiosity and something deeper he could not name. He thanked the people for their warning and left the village before they could question him more. The forest grew darker as he returned to the rivers. He followed a trail of faint footprints until he reached a clearing. There she stood again, waiting, as though she had known he would come. "You should not have followed me," Sara said quietly. Her silver eyes shone like cold light, but there was sadness in them. Marin stepped forward, though he kept his distance. "They call you cursed. They fear you. But you saved me. That is not the act of a curse." Sara shook her head. "You do not understand. My body is filled with an energy I cannot control. When I feel strong emotions, it flows out of me. To my people, it is poison. To outsiders, it is death. That is why I live alone." Marin listened closely. "Then you must feel lonely." Her eyes flickered with surprise. "Lonely," she whispered. "I do not remember what it feels like to stand beside another without fear. No one dares to come near me." Marin's chest tightened. He thought of his long months in space, the silence of his ship, the endless distance from home. He knew the weight of being alone. "Then let me stand near you," he said softly. "If it hurts me, then it is my choice." Sura's breath caught. She shook her head, stepping back. No. You are human. Your body cannot carry what mine releases. Every moment you stay near me brings you closer to death. Marin took a slow step forward. His chest began to burn again, weaker than before but still strong. Yet he kept his voice steady. Life without risk is not life at all. I would rather take the pain than turn away. Sura's eyes glimmered, caught between warning and wonder. For a moment, she almost smiled. But then she looked away, her voice heavy. You are foolish, human. But you are not like the others. The forest wind moved between them, carrying the sound of rivers and the glow of distant crystals. Marin felt his strength fade as the heat inside him grew, but he refused to step back. The bond between them had begun, forbidden and fragile, but alive. The days passed slowly as Marin stayed near the forest where Sura lived. She never asked him to leave, but she never welcomed him either. Each time he came close, she stepped back, her silver eyes filled with warning. Still, she did not vanish from him again, and that alone was enough for him to remain. One evening, when the suns had dipped low and the forest glowed under soft moonlight, Sura spoke with him by the river. The water shimmered like liquid light as it flowed past them. You are stubborn, human, she said. Every day you come here, knowing it weakens you. Why? Marin looked at the flowing water, then at her. Because I believe you are more than what they say. A curse does not save a life. A curse does not speak with sorrow. You are something greater. Her face remained calm, but her eyes softened. You do not understand the danger. My own kind avoid me. They do not come near, even when I call. They know what I carry. They know what happens when I lose control. Marin leaned forward. Then let me understand. Show me. For a long moment, silence filled the air. Sura's hands trembled slightly as she clenched them. Then she stood and motioned for him to follow. If you wish to see, then come. But you may not like what you find. She led him deeper into the forest, farther than he had gone before. The trees grew taller, and the ground sparkled with broken crystals that hummed faintly under their feet. At last, they reached a wide cave that glowed from within. The walls were lined with crystals, each one shining with a different color. The air inside buzzed like 1,000 whispers. This is the heart of the forest, Sura said. The crystals hold the memory of the world. They show the truth of those who stand before them. Marin stepped inside, feeling a pulse run through the ground. The crystals lit brighter as Sura approached, and their light bent toward her as if drawn by her presence. She closed her eyes, and the glow around her body grew stronger. Her skin shimmered, her hair floated in the air as though moved by invisible wind, and her silver eyes burned like stars. Marin gasped as the crystals responded. They showed visions that filled the cave. He saw alien figures falling when they touched her hand. He saw warriors trembling and collapsing as her lips brushed theirs. He saw her standing alone, always alone, while her people watched from afar. The pain in her life was clear, carved into the shining walls of the cave. Sura's voice broke the silence. Do you see now? This is why I am called cursed. My energy escapes me. It burns the life of others. I cannot control it. But then the visions shifted. The crystals flickered again, this time showing something different. Marin saw images of Earth. He saw humans standing against storms, climbing mountains, crossing endless seas. He saw great battles where humans fought until the last breath. He saw hands reaching for each other, never letting go even when the world crumbled. Sarah opened her eyes and stared at the visions. "What is this?" she whispered. "The story of my kind," Marin answered. His voice was steady. "We are weak in body, but strong in will. We endure. That is why I can stand here, even as your power burns inside me. That is why I will not turn away." Sarah's hands shook as she watched the visions fade. For the first time, doubt appeared on her face. No one has ever faced it without falling. No one has stood this close to me without breaking. Yet you still stand. Marin felt the fire in his chest, but he straightened his back. "Because I choose to. Because you are worth the pain." Her lips parted as if to argue, but no words came. Instead, she turned away, her voice softer than before. "You are foolish, Marin. Yet something in you feels different. Perhaps the crystals see more than I do." The cave grew quiet again, the glow dimming slowly. Marin knew the bond between them had deepened, though she still feared what it might bring. But he also knew this was only the beginning. He stepped closer, ignoring the weight pressing down on him. "I will not leave you, Sarah. Not now. Not ever." She closed her eyes, trembling at his words. The forest heart pulsed once more, as if the world itself listened. The nights on the strange planet were never silent. The rivers glowed, the trees whispered with unseen life, and the stars above burned brighter than Marin had ever seen. Yet none of it held his thoughts. His mind stayed on Sarah. Each day he walked beside her, and each day the weight of her presence pressed harder against his body. Still, he did not turn away. One night, under the twin moons, they sat together on a stone ledge that overlooked the forest. The air was cool, and the sky shimmered with countless lights. Sarah sat with her hands folded in her lap, her silver eyes fixed on the distance. Marin watched her quietly, waiting for her to speak first. At last, she said, "I do not understand you. Any other would have run from me by now. You should hate the pain I bring, but you keep coming back." Marin smiled faintly. "Because I see more than pain. I see strength. I see someone who has carried her burden alone, yet still stands. That is not a curse. That is courage." Sarah's lips pressed into a thin line. Her eyes glimmered with something fragile. "Do not speak kindly of me, Marin. It makes it harder for me to do what I must." "And what is that?" he asked softly. She turned toward him, her gaze sharp and filled with sorrow. "Keep you away. Keep you alive. Every moment you stay, you risk everything." Marin leaned closer, his voice steady though his heart pounded. "Then let me risk it. My life is my own to give. If it burns because I stand beside you, then so be it." Her breath caught. She looked at him as though seeing a storm rising where none should be. Her hands trembled, and her silver eyes wavered. "You do not know what you are asking." "I do," Marin said. "I ask you to let me stand with you. Not as a watcher, not as a stranger, but as someone who chooses you." The silence between them grew heavy. The moons painted her face in pale light, and for the first time, her guard seemed to lower. She leaned toward him, slow and uncertain, as if each movement fought against years of fear. Marin did not move. He only waited. Her lips touched his. At once, fire shot through his veins. His body shook, his heart raced until he thought it would tear apart. It felt as if lightning had poured straight into his chest, burning every part of him. He wanted to cry out, but he held firm. His hands dug into the stone beneath him as he forced himself not to pull away. Sura gasped against him, her whole body glowing brighter. She tried to break away, but Marin reached out and steadied her with trembling hands. His voice came rough and strained. "Do not stop." Her eyes widened. She could feel the poison within her rushing into him, yet he still held her. He was burning, his skin pale, his breath ragged, but he endured. No one ever had. Not even her own people. She shook as she pulled back, her lips trembling. "You should be dead," she whispered. Her voice was filled with fear and awe. Marin fell to one knee, his chest heaving, but his eyes stayed fixed on her. "But I am not. I am still here." Tears gathered in her silver eyes. She touched her lips, shocked by what had just happened. For the first time in her life, someone had survived her kiss. Someone had chosen to drink the poison willingly, and instead of falling, he stood before her. "You are not like the others," she said, her voice breaking. Marin forced a weak smile. "I told you. I endure." Sura trembled as she stepped closer, kneeling beside him. She reached out, then stopped, afraid of hurting him again. "Why would you do this?" "Because I see you," he whispered. "Not a curse. Not a danger. Only you." For a long moment, she said nothing. The glow of her body softened, no longer wild, but warm. She looked at him as though something impossible had begun. The moons rose higher, and the forest whispered around them. Marin lay weak, his body still shaking, but his spirit unbroken. Sura sat beside him, her heart pounding with fear and wonder. A line had been crossed, and neither of them could return. Her kiss was poison, but he had endured it, and in that moment, something inside her began to change. The night of the kiss changed everything. Sura no longer looked at Marin with only fear. There was something else in her silver eyes now, something close to hope. Yet hope was fragile, and it did not last long. In the following days, whispers spread through the forest. The people of her kind learned that Sura had broken her exile and that a human had stood beside her. To them, it was dangerous. Some called it foolish, others called it blasphemy, but all agreed it could not be allowed. One evening, the elder from the village came to Marin. His face was stern, his voice heavy with anger. "You have brought imbalance to our world. Her poison has already taken many lives, and now you challenge the law of our people. You must leave before it is too late." Marin stood tall despite his weakness. His body still carried the burn of Sura's kiss, but his voice was steady. "I will not leave her. She is not what you believe. She is more than her curse." The elder shook his head. "You are blind. She is a danger not only to you but to us all. And now something worse has awakened." The elder raised his hand toward the horizon. In the far distance, a black cloud moved across the sky. It was not smoke, nor storm. It was alive. Countless dark shapes twisted and swarmed together like a sea of shadows. The air itself seemed to weaken as they drew near. "They are called the Veil Swarm," the elder said. "They feed on life energy. They are drawn to power, and her power burns brighter than any flame. Because of her, they are coming here." The ground trembled as if the world itself feared the approach. Animals fled from the forest. Birds filled the sky in frantic flocks. The rivers grew dim, their glow fading as if the very heart of the planet was losing strength. Sura stood on the ridge beside Marin, her face pale but unshaken. "It is true. They come for me. They will not stop until all is consumed." Marin turned to her, his eyes fierce. Then we fight them together. Her breath caught. No. You cannot. My power already weakens you. If we fight side by side, you will not survive. Marin stepped closer, ignoring the fire that rose in his chest from her nearness. I would rather fall fighting with you than live running without you. Humanity has faced storms, wars, and darkness before. We endure. That is what makes us human. And I will endure this. For a moment, Sara's guard broke. She looked at him as though his words had pierced through the wall she had built her whole life. Her lips trembled, but she nodded slowly. Then we fight. The village prepared in haste. Warriors armed with crystal blades and glowing shields stood ready, though their faces showed fear. They had fought the swarm before, and many had fallen. Now the shadow in the sky was greater than ever. The council gathered, voices raised in anger. Some demanded that Sara be cast out, hoping the swarm would follow her alone. Others shouted that it was already too late. The debate turned to chaos until Sara stepped into the center of the circle. Her body glowed faintly, and silence fell. I will not run, she said firmly. If they come for me, then let them face me here. I will not hide while others suffer for what I am. Her words struck the people silent. Even those who hated her could not deny her courage. Marin stepped forward beside her. His voice carried across the gathering. She is not alone. I will stand with her, as will any who value this world. The swarm feeds on fear. Let us give them something stronger. Let us give them unity. The warriors lifted their blades, some with doubt, others with rising courage. For the first time, Sara did not stand apart. She stood at the heart of her people, no longer only the cursed one, but their shield. The black cloud moved closer, swallowing the stars. The swarm hissed like 1,000 voices, shaking the forest with their cry. The battle would begin at dawn. Marin felt his chest burn again, but he did not falter. He looked at Sara, who stood tall with silver eyes blazing against the dark. Together, they would face what came. The first light of dawn painted the sky in red and gold. The forest trembled under the distant roar of the Veil swarm. Thousands of dark shapes moved together like a living shadow, advancing toward the village. The air felt heavy, charged with danger, as if the world itself feared what was coming. Marin stood beside Sara on a high ridge, his body still weak from her first kiss, yet his resolve was unbroken. His hands trembled, but his voice rang clear. We face them together. You are not alone. Sara nodded, silver eyes blazing. Then stay close. The closer you are, the stronger the poison grows. It will burn through you if you do not resist. Marin took a deep breath. I will endure. The swarm arrived in a wave, black shapes twisting and hissing, their forms hard to define. They moved with unnatural speed, and as they drew near, the village warriors raised their crystal blades and shields. Sparks flew as the first of the swarm collided with the defenders. Screams rang out as the creatures tore through the front lines, feeding on the energy of the fallen. Sara stepped forward, her body glowing bright as the swarm attacked. She moved like liquid light, striking with precise energy. Her poison flowed through the air, burning anything it touched. Dark shapes dissolved under her power, yet Marin could see how much it cost her. Her body shook, her face strained with the effort of controlling the deadly energy. Marin did not hesitate. He ran into the fray, his weapon in hand. He moved beside her, dodging blasts of dark energy, striking creatures before they could reach her. His body burned with her poison, yet he pushed through, forcing his endurance to match her strength. Every strike he made was powered by will, not muscle. The swarm pressed harder. More shapes emerged from the shadows, surrounding the village. Warriors fell one by one, their energy drained, but Sara did not falter. She turned toward Marin, eyes wide. "You must step back." "No," he said firmly. "I will not leave you. Together, we are stronger than them." She hesitated, then nodded. He stayed close, moving with her, fighting side by side. Her poison surged, waves of fire burning the swarm into ash, and he endured, his human strength resisting the deadly energy. The battle was brutal. Each time he felt himself weaken, he glanced at Sara, her determination fueling his courage. Hours passed, yet neither side gave ground. The swarm was relentless, moving as one, attacking without pause. The village was nearly destroyed, but the humans and aliens fought with courage and unity. Marin saw warriors rise again, inspired by Sara's light and his refusal to fall. Finally, they reached the heart of the swarm. The dark mass twisted violently, hissing and shrieking. Sara turned to Marin. "Now, together." He nodded, taking her hands in his. Their combined energy flared brighter than anything Marin had ever seen. Fire and poison merged in a pulse of light that swept across the battlefield. The swarm shrieked and recoiled, their forms dissolving into shadows. The ground shook, and for a moment, the world was silent. The forest seemed to breathe again, the rivers glowing brighter, the air lighter. The swarm had been driven away. Marin sank to his knees, exhausted, chest burning from the poison that still lingered in him. Sara fell beside him, trembling, her silver eyes wide with relief. She touched his face gently. "You should be dead," she whispered, awe in her voice. "I am not," he said, forcing a weak smile. "I endured, like I promised." Sara's lips quivered. She had never seen anyone survive her power, let alone fight with her as an equal. For the first time, she felt hope bloom inside her heart. Perhaps the curse was not absolute. Perhaps humans could endure what her own kind could not. The village was quiet now. Survivors looked around in disbelief, slowly rising to their feet. Sara's people approached cautiously, their fear replaced by respect. She stood tall beside Marin, still glowing faintly, but no longer alone. Marin looked at her and whispered, "We did it." Sara's lips curved slightly in a smile. She had faced the swarm countless times before, yet this was the first time she had not been alone. And this human beside her, burned by her poison, had not only survived but had fought by her side. The sun rose higher, light spilling across the forest. The battle was over, but its memory would remain forever. Marin and Sara stood together, proving that courage, will, and trust could turn even poison into strength. The forest was calm again. Smoke from the battle had vanished, and the rivers glowed brighter than before. The Veil swarm had been driven away, but the victory came at a cost. Marin lay on the ground, chest heaving, his body weak from the poison that still coursed through him. His skin was pale, and every breath was a struggle. Sara knelt beside him, trembling. Her silver eyes were wide with fear and wonder. She had seen him endure her poison before, but now it was stronger than ever. Every beat of his heart was a battle. She reached out to touch him, but stopped, afraid of what her own power could do. "You should not be here," she whispered. Her voice was soft, almost a plea. "You should not have stayed. You should not have fought." Marin turned his head toward her, his eyes full of warmth. I stayed because of you. I fought because of you. I do not regret a single moment. Tears gathered in Sara's eyes. She had never felt this before. Fear, awe, and something new, love. She shook her head, trying to fight it back. You could die. I cannot let that happen. I cannot lose you. He smiled faintly, reaching for her hand. His fingers trembled, but his grip was strong. If it means being with you, then I accept the risk. I would rather face death in your arms than live without knowing you. Sara felt a shiver run through her body. Her lips quivered, and for a moment, she wanted to pull away. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw a strength she had never known. His courage, his willpower, his willingness to endure her poison. It changed something inside her. Slowly, she leaned forward, brushing her lips to his once more. This time, the poison surged through him, but instead of pain, it flowed like light. His body burned for a moment, then warmth spread through his veins. Sara gasped, feeling it too. Her curse, which had always been deadly, began to change. It no longer threatened him. Instead, it healed. Marin opened his eyes, breathing deeply, the strength returning to his limbs. It worked, he whispered, awe in his voice. Sara's lips trembled as she pulled back slightly. How? She asked, stunned. You endured me, he said simply. You feared your power. You thought it would destroy life, but we stood together. You let me share it. That is why it changed. She looked at him, tears streaming down her cheeks. I never thought anyone could survive me, let alone this. I never believed it could be different. Marin took her hand gently. It is different because we chose to face it together. We trusted each other. And that is stronger than any curse. Sara's silver eyes softened, the light in them calm and warm for the first time. Her people slowly approached, watching in awe as the Cursed One and the human stood side by side. No fear, no hatred, only respect and wonder. The elder from the village stepped forward, his expression serious but changed. Perhaps we have judged too harshly. Perhaps humans bring more than weakness. Perhaps they bring hope. Marin nodded slightly, looking at Sara. Hope is what carried me through. Hope for her. Hope for this world. We endure, even when the impossible stands before us. Sara knelt beside him again, but this time she was steady. She placed her hand on his cheek, her touch warm and gentle. You chose me, even when it was dangerous. You stayed when others would have run. You are human. And you have changed everything. Marin smiled faintly. Then we face the future together. Whatever comes, we face it as one. The forest seemed to breathe around them, rivers glowing, trees rustling softly in approval. Life returned fully to the land, the danger passed, and for the first time, Sara felt free. Free not only of the fear of her own power but free to stand beside someone who had shown her what courage and love could truly do. Under the twin moons, the Cursed One and the human stood together, hand in hand. Her kiss had once been poison, but now it was a symbol of trust, strength, and a bond that not even death could break. Humanity had endured again, proving that even the greatest dangers could be faced with courage and will. Together, they looked toward the horizon, ready for the life ahead, no longer bound by fear, no longer alone, and stronger than either could have imagined.